So, I'm looking at question number 2 here, Jeff, and I've asked you, what are the 3 best offensive opportunities we have in singles, and I think we've kind of talked about a couple of these. Any more that you want to add to this question?
Well, I'd add if we just let's take a solid the first 2. I think it may be kind of obvious, maybe not obvious. Would be the serve, right? This is an opportunity for me. I get a free shot. There's a box across the net. I get to stand there. I get to toss the ball to myself. I get to hit it anywhere in that box. So it's really in the student's best interest to develop the best serve they can develop, because it's a free shot, and that's what my serve actually kind of took off when I finally realized this moment that I should be able to do some damage here on this free hit, so that I can do what I do best. I'm a California raised hard court serve and volleyer. That was it's in my genes. That's what I do. And so I could really exploit my volley, make the play work so well for me if I could learn to move my serve around. And that's really, when I say serve, it's placement over pace, is the key there on the serve. And probably the best example I can give would be John McEnroe. Arguably at times people said he had the best serve in the world, not because of pace, but because of placement. He could surgically move that ball around the box anywhere he wanted, and then he backed it up with, again, arguably the best volley in the game. He didn't hit it the hardest of everybody, but he could pull you and put you anywhere he wanted on that first free shot.
Well, what I feel here, Jeff, is you're absolutely right about the serve being an obvious, in singles, offensive opportunity. But like I've diagrammed here, I mean, you got to get these 3 targets out there, and you got to hit your 25 to 40 serves per session. I recommend you never hit more than that, because you're going to risk doing some damage to your shoulder. And I don't really like to have students go out there and do it more. I mean, every other day is fine, but 2 days in a row is a bit much. But Jeff, you're right. If you can really get confident of these 3 targets, which is to the tee, to the body, and then out wide, each one of those targets to me is an offensive opportunity in terms of an approach shot. I never think of the serve as, well, it's an opportunity to hit an ace, the point's going to be over. For me, and I'm sure you would agree with this, and what I teach my students is that the serve can be an approach shot opportunity. And if you can develop a serve to all, just 3 different locations, that's not asking too much. You really keep that returner off balance. Doesn't have to be a huge serve. And I think it really, just like you said, Jeff, it creates a great offensive opportunity.
Right. So that'd be my 3 best defensive opportunities. Number 1 is that the quality of that serve. Again, location, not pace. 2, if you're on the opposite side of the net, the return of serve. And I think sometimes the simplicity of what I'm about to say sometimes kind of puts it, people don't quite get it maybe at first, and that is, in order for me to break my opponent's serve, I need to put a minimum of 4 returns back in the court. So unless I can do that, I have no opportunity here to turn this match over, or I have to, all the pressure is always on my serve then every time to hold, because I'm not even putting 4 balls back in the court when the guy's serving. So the mathematics simply of that aspect of the game becomes huge. I cannot break this guy's serve unless I put a minimum of 4 returns back in the court. Okay? So what I like to do when I'm going to play my match is, when I come out the first few service return games, I like to kind of cut it loose a little bit and aim really center court. So maybe if we put a cone center court there somewhere, Brent, opposite side there, and maybe a little shallower in the court, a little shallower. Yeah, a safe target that if I'm off by 8 feet, my ball's still in. And what it does is it kind of allows me to feel a little freer about tuning into the tempo and pace of my opponent's serve. I got to get the timing down, their toss, their motion, And if I can kind of just pick this safe target to drive the ball to off of both sides, forehand or backhand, I may be able to very quickly within the first set start to get a beat on this guy's serve. And now, you know what? Now all of a sudden come the end of the first set, I feel like I've got the timing. I can start to move the ball around a little bit more. But the big key, though, is now I feel like, you know what? I've got a beat on it, and now I'm right away. I'm putting 4 returns in each service game minimum. And I feel like now I'm starting to put pressure on the guy.
So really, and it goes back to what I think your philosophy is, Jeff, on this going from offense to defense, is that you got to feel that you're in control. You've got to feel that you're not reacting to what your opponent does. And so it goes back to, go out with your practice buddy and, have him work on his 3 serves, his 3 serve locations. I wouldn't put cones out there because if he hits them, it's going to be a problem. But, you can certainly have him go for the tee, go for the body, and go out wide. And your whole goal as the returner is, don't worry about where the serve goes, just aim for this target every time. And if that means that, you get pulled out wide and you got to take an extra second or 2 out there to have good balance and good stroke fundamentals, then that's what it takes to be able to feel like you're in charge so that you can develop this return to serve where, and I love the way you describe that, Jeff, is that, you got to get four returns in serve and play if you want to break, and especially the first couple of service games in a match. This is a great target to go to get a beat on this guy's serve, especially if you've never played him before. And as you said, if you're late or if you're early or whatever it is, at least you got some room to play with here.
Right.
So
right.
I think that
is a little margin to work with, right?
Yeah, and I think that depending, just like you said, you can be aware. What were the 2 terms that you used for it's called monitor and adjust?
Monitor and adjust.
Yeah, so you can monitor the quality of those returns to serve. And the other thing I like about going in the middle here, Jeff, is that it forces the server to either commit to playing, a forehand or a backhand to get out of the way of the ball.
He's got to make a choice.
And I'm sorry?
He's got to make a choice.
Yeah, he's got to make a choice. And, the toughest footwork pattern in the game of tennis is getting out of the way of the path of the ball.
Absolutely.
The easiest.
I'm much more dangerous. I'm much more dangerous when I'm, kind of like the Sundance Kid. Can I move when I shoot?
That's right.
Rather than standing there stationary and having to get out of the way, I always felt like I was much more dangerous if I was in the middle of, action and running to something.
Okay.
To make
All
contact, But that's just, that's me. That was my part of my way I play ball and my tendency. That's where I felt really, most comfortable. And let me throw one more thing at you here, kind of like it was like the best offensive 3 opportunities. Let me throw this at you then, too, for number 3.
Okay.
And that would be, if I know my opponent or I've had a chance to watch him hit a little bit before my match, I should be able to identify, say, a weak side. Is their forehand, is their backhand. Everybody kind of assumes it's somebody's backhand, but, with so many people playing with 2 hands these days, sometimes the weak side is actually the forehand side if I can put it under pressure. It's sometimes a bigger stroke, and they take bigger liberties with it. So under pressure, that may be the side that actually breaks down quicker. So what do I do with that knowledge now? And I'd say this. The weak side is only the weak side if they're actually making contact with the ball. Okay? And what I mean by that is the weak side is not the side I necessarily try to hit winners against. The guy's weak backhand or weak forehand is only weak if he's actually making contact with the ball. And so I need to, I think, adjust my strategy a little bit sometimes. I see people, the guy's got a weak backhand, and all they do all day is they try to hammer the backhand side so much that they're making unforced errors because they're trying to hit winners to that side.
Right.
When in reality, I need the guy making contact to dish up the weak response so then I can really, truly take control of the point and do my business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, and I can see too where, there's going to be different types of, as you described, contact. Some of them might not always where you have to, play a classic, sort of flat semi-top drive that lands deep. I mean, there's no reason why you can't sort of hit a semi-deep looper into the guy's backhand and see what he does with it. And if his court position is he backs up, I'm always going to look at that as an offensive opportunity to move in, because if he's going to back up, even if he wants to take it and drive it from back here, I'm hoping he does.
Yeah.
Because now I've got the ball and the guy still hung out to dry somewhere out of the middle of the court. So, I don't want everyone to think that the way that you create offensive opportunities, that you always have to, drive big groundies. I mean, yes, you can drive big groundies to the corner. You can drive them to the middle of the court. You can loop balls deep and see what your opponent does. You can play drop shots. You can play drop shots all day long, and that becomes an offensive opportunity for you. So I think that's a good point. So, well, let's move on, Jeff, to doubles.